Students, welcome to today's mini lesson on grammar. We're going to start by talking about a subject and a predicate. So these are the two elements of a complete sentence. Every complete sentence has both a subject and a predicate. So a subject is the who or the what that the sentence is about. So let's look at an example. The tiger eats meat. Here, the tiger is the subject because that is what the sentence is about. Let's look at another example. The dog barks a lot. So here, the dog is the subject because that's what the sentence is about. All right, now a predicate, that's what the subject does or is. So let's look at some examples. Children learn new words. Learn new words is the predicate because children is the subject, and what the subject is doing is that they're learning new words. So learn new words is the predicate. Let's look at another example. Dad and Mom sleep in the tent. Dad and Mom is the subject, and so what they're doing is sleeping in the tent. So sleep in the tent is the predicate because that's what the subject does. So let's look at the definition of a complete sentence. A complete sentence has a subject and a predicate, just like we discussed on the last slide. So let's look at an example. The child ran across the parking lot. So the subject is the child, that's who the sentence is about, and the predicate is ran across the parking lot because that's what the subject is doing. So that is a complete sentence because it has a subject and a predicate. Now let's look at a fragment. This is what we like to avoid in our writing. We don't like to use fragments because we're supposed to write incomplete sentences. A fragment is missing either the subject or the predicate. So let's look at an example. Hid under the bed. There's no subject here. There is a predicate, hid under the bed, but we don't know who or what is doing that. We have no idea because the subject is missing. Since the subject is missing, that makes this a fragment. All right, let's do some practice questions together. The boy waited in line for fare tickets. Is that a sentence or a fragment? What do you think? That's right. It's a complete sentence because the subject is the boy and the predicate is waited in line for fare tickets. All right, let's look at another example. The people in front of John. Is that a complete sentence or a fragment? That's right. It's a fragment because there's no predicate. We do know the subject, which is the people in front of John. That's who the sentence is about, but we don't know what they are or what they're doing. So there's no predicate, making this a fragment. We're waiting patiently for their turn. Is this a complete sentence or a fragment? That's right. It's another fragment, this time because there's no subject. We know what the predicate is and what the subject is doing. We're waiting patiently for their turn, but who is waiting patiently for their turn? We don't know because the subject is missing. That makes it a fragment. John went right to the Ferris wheel when he got inside the park. Is that a sentence or a fragment? That's right. It's a complete sentence because the subject is John and went right to the Ferris wheel when he got inside the park is the predicate. What about he jumped into the seat and buckled up? Is that a complete sentence or a fragment? That's right. It's another complete sentence. He is the subject and jumped into the seat and buckled up is the predicate. Now I want to talk to you about types of sentences. We've already talked about that fragments are not what we want to use in our writing. We want to use complete sentences, but there's 3 types of sentences, and I'm going to teach you about 2 of them today. So the first type of sentence is called a simple sentence, and it has one complete thought. This one complete thought is known as an independent clause because it's independent because it can stand by itself. It's one thought that can be a sentence all on its own. Now, the other type of sentence I want to introduce you to today is a compound sentence. A compound sentence has 2 complete thoughts or 2 independent clauses that are joined by a conjunction. What's a conjunction, you ask? Well, here's how I remember the conjunction. What conjunctions are. I remember the acronym FANBOYS because the conjunctions in the English language are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And I just remember FANBOYS because that's the first letter of each of the conjunctions, and that helps me remember what they are. Also, each of the fanboys or conjunctions needs a comma in front of it. So when you're having a compound sentence, before you use one of these words to start your second thought, you have to have a comma before the word. Let's look at some examples. Okay, so Devonshire is a great school. That's a simple sentence. Here's why. It's just one complete thought. And it's just, there's no second thought here. It's just Devonshire is a great school. It can stand on its own. It's not a fragment, but no second thought is introduced here. Now let's look at a compound sentence. If I say Devonshire is a great school and I love going there, it's a compound sentence for a few reasons. First, I have a fanboy, which is a comma and then one of our fanboy conjunction words. But also, the other key hint here is these are two complete thoughts. Here's why. Devonshire is a great school. That's a complete thought and can be a sentence all by itself. I love going there. That's another complete thought. That could also be a sentence all by itself. So since those are two independent clauses or two thoughts that could be sentences by themselves, joined by a conjunction, that makes this a compound sentence. All right, let's do some practice. Now we're going to say for each item, is it a simple sentence, a compound sentence, or a fragment? He likes reading fiction and nonfiction. Ooh, this is a tricky one. Okay, you guys, this is a simple sentence. Here's why. Some of you might have accidentally said compound sentence because you saw and thought that's a fanboy. But notice there's no comma, and this is not two complete thoughts. It's only one. He likes reading fiction and nonfiction. After the word and, nonfiction can't be a sentence all by itself. That's not a new thought. It's just listing two things that he, the subject, likes. So it's just one complete thought, a simple sentence. He finished his book and he has nothing left to read. Oops, I forgot a period here. Good job if you caught my mistake. But if this had a period, is it a simple sentence, a compound sentence, or a fragment? That's right. It's a compound sentence. Here's why. It's two complete thoughts joined by a conjunction. He finished his book. That's one complete thought. Comma and, that's a fanboy or conjunction. He has nothing left to read. That could be a sentence all by itself. He has nothing left to read. So those are two independent clauses or two complete thoughts that could stand by themselves, combined by a conjunction. Let's do one more. The fiction book. Is that a simple sentence, a compound sentence, or a fragment? That's right, it's a fragment. It only has a subject, the what of the sentence, the fiction book, but there's no predicate. We don't know what about this subject, what it's doing or what it is. That's missing, so that's a fragment. All right, so for your independent practice, you're going to complete your sentence quiz by clicking the link below this video. And once you've done that, you're going to complete your quill.org assignments. I gave out these usernames and passwords on Tuesday, but if you weren't here or you forgot yours, there's a link and it has everyone's username and password and instructions how to sign in. So make sure you read those carefully. Have a great day. See you soon.